Okay. And your name is?
Elizabeth Newman.
And you work for?
I work with the Outreach Department of Family Crisis Center.
Okay. And your title?
I'm the Domestic Violence Victim Outreach Advocate.
Okay, wonderful. So, Elizabeth, can you tell us a little bit about what you do here at the Family Justice Center?
Yeah, so really we try to provide a continuum of care for victims and survivors of domestic abuse. So that looks different for every client depending on what their needs are, and we really try to meet the client where they are. So again, that looks different for every client, but they can definitely expect us to sit down with them and to try to understand what they're going through and to make sure that they're safe.
Mm-hmm.
So if they come to us from shelter, then we'll try to help them with long-term care. So whether that's housing or employment, or if they come to us directly out of an abusive situation, we may try to help them get into our shelter, the Family Crisis Center.
Okay. So would you say then what you just described is a good description of advocacy when someone comes here, that's the kind of advocacy that they receive?
Yeah, I think it's case by case, sort of. We individualize our care to meet the client's needs, and we try to be mindful of their situation, how it is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And really, we try to use the empowerment model here. So it's based off of, them getting to make their own decisions. We always tell clients you're the expert in your own life. So we'll try to give you the tools to achieve the goals that you set. So it can look a lot of different ways, but we try to tap into community-based resources to make that happen, and we try to give them the support that they need.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So can you tell us a little bit about, you said you can help them access shelter, and
Mm-hmm.
you are an outreach advocate from the shelter. So can you tell us a little bit about what you know about the shelter that you're connected with?
Yeah, and there are multiple shelters in the Knox County area, and there are shelters, throughout, the country. But I can speak to the Family Crisis Center. So it's a confidential location, which
Mm-hmm.
and that's for security purposes. That's to keep survivors and victims safe, as well as staff.
Mm-hmm.
It is a 24-hour staffed shelter, so there's a staff there at all times, and there are 2 advocates, so they work with you to meet your goals while you're there. And emergency typically means about a 30-day shelter.
Okay.
So clients will come in, they can come and go, they don't have to stay at shelter if they choose not to, and they really adhere to the empowerment model there as well. So they will, set goals with the client that the client decides they want to set, and they'll help the client achieve those goals, using strategies that they want to use.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and it's a house that's been converted into a shelter, so it's not like this open gymnasium with cots on the floor. It's a warm environment. They really try to be mindful of what the client is going through. They provide, support group. They provide resources for the client while they're there to kind of help them make the transition into, long-term change.
Can children go to the shelter with their, if they have children, can they go with them?
Mm-hmm, they can, and it depends on capacity. It depends on if they have spaces available.
Mm-hmm.
But you can just call the hotline 637-8000. An advocate will speak to you or a staff member and kind of figure out what's going on and try their best to either get you into that shelter or get you into another safe space. So
Okay.
whether it be another shelter or talk to you about safety planning, getting you in with a family member or friend, just a space that's as safe as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you talked about safety planning.
Yeah.
What is safety planning?
Safety planning is just an intentional discussion about safety. So it looks different for different clients, because some clients may be able to, spout off, I've been doing this to keep myself safe, where other clients may not be as aware of what they can do in a daily sense and in a long-term sense to keep themselves safe. So for our clients, usually it's a common sense discussion, things that they're already doing. So when we tell clients, try to make sure that you have important numbers programmed into your phone, and try to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and taking those measurements to protect yourself and your children. So we do that every time we meet with a client for the first time, and after we provide ongoing care, we do check in with clients to make sure that they're as safe as possible, because that's our top priority.
Does safety planning perhaps change over the course of time? Are there different things that you focus on as time changes?
Definitely. So we try to meet the immediate needs when we first meet with a client, and safety is always our concern, but if a client comes to us and they need to find shelter, then we'll safety plan about how to exit. We'll safety plan about, what belongings do you need to pack? What documentation do you need? How can you safely do it? Let's actually go through and try to name different strategies and different people who can help you. Let's break it down into baby steps, because this is an abnormal situation, having to flee your home. And then once a client has left, or if they're in a different situation where they may want to relocate long term, then we'll talk about how to safely do that as well.
Okay.
Or if they're traveling to work, there's all different kinds of scenarios that we will talk about with them.
Okay. All right. So it's something that's adjusted per life situation.
Yeah.
Okay. And safety planning, is that something that's done at the Family Justice Center?
It is. Every time we meet with clients, we do a danger assessment to kind of try to understand where they are, and sometimes it puts it into perspective for them as well, to know, where we see their situation. And then we also talk about safety with them, and we give them a copy of all of that so they can review it if it's safe for them to take those documents. And there are officers in the building if they need to talk to them, and counselors as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.